Hello fellow sim racers. Today I'm standing outside of what you may recognise as the old Manor F1 factory. But that's very much a facet of the past, and today's video is all about the future. Last week, I was invited to visit the RoboRace UK factory to take a look at their facility, the cars, and have a chat to some of the team personnel to find out what goes into building, testing, and race preparing autonomous cars. Aside from the tour of the factory, I was also treated to a guided tour of the DevBot 2.0 vehicle and had a chance to talk to one of the simulator engineers about how they integrate rFactor Pro into their simulation setup. I also spent far longer than I'd like to admit trying to work out how I could smuggle out this Robocar wind tunnel model, which I thought would look pretty decent in the living room. But the point of the visit wasn't to take in all of the eye candy, as nice as it is to get up close and personal with racing hardware. So stick around to learn more about the ins and outs of the Robocars, how they're tested and prepared, and how the team evaluates the machinery in a simulator environment using some very familiar tools.
My name's Reece Smith. I'm test driver and #1 mechanic for the DevBots and the Robocars. Basically, we do race prep and driving and testing of the car. So, well, this is the battery. It's from here to here. It's made by Rimac. It is 760 volts, I think it is. It's about 500 kilos. So there's a lot of weight behind you, and it's quite high as well, so it's quite difficult. But we've also got carbon gearbox housing, which is designed by us.
How many gears is it?
Zero.
Zero?
It's just one gear, yeah.
Oh, good.
Just go.
It's direct drive, yeah.
Exactly. No diff or anything like that. 2 separate motors, so 1 on each corner. So we've got a rear camera. This is just the camera that we use for like rear view, so you can see who's behind you. That's it. That's for the actual system side, that rear one. We have 2 side cameras that are normally here. I might better have shown you on this one actually. This one's a bit more together. Yeah, you carry on. So we've got 2 side cameras, which do a lot of like detection between tarmac and grass. So it knows where the edges of the track are. LiDAR, 4 LiDARs on the car, 1 on each side and 1 on each side on the front wing as well. We've also got the emotion system, which is like the car has got a voice basically. We can program it to basically make whatever sound we want. Same with the LED panel.
So is the cooling just the 2 radiators then in the side pods?
So the cooling is 2 radiators. This radiator here is split, so it's actually 3 radiators technically, but 1 cools the inverters, 1 cools the motors, and the other side radiator is solely dedicated to cooling the battery. DC-DC, which changes the high voltage to low voltage. So the dash is quite simple. It's literally just D for drive, N for neutral, R for reverse, P for park. All the other buttons are all quite technical, so I won't go into those. But it's literally put it in drive, push the throttle. That's it. Brake pedal is traditional, like a traditional race car. Put a lot of force for it to get it to stop. The front dampers are 3-way dampers. Rear dampers are also 3-way, I believe. The way that the braking system works on these is quite interesting, because we have to be able to use the human side of the brake pedal as well as the autonomous side, and the autonomous side is pneumatic. So we have a system inside the car made by a separate company which deals with all the braking and everything, requests that it gets from the software and the hardware pneumatically.
So is it almost like a separate master cylinder for the computer side?
Yeah.
Of it? Yeah.
So there's a front and rear master cylinder on we call it a BCU, which is a brake control unit. There's 2 brake control units, 1 for the front, 1 for the rear. And there's also 2 APSs, which are air pressure units. So they basically make air for the BCUs to push the master cylinders.
The purpose of DevBot 2.0 is to allow the team to evaluate the autonomous technology against that of human drivers, as well as provide valuable feedback on the development and setup of the chassis.
So obviously we have human safety drivers that are in the cars, and their job is to obviously provide us with feedback when the car's in autonomous mode, so that we can compare it to the data we have, and it gives us a better idea of what's going on for finding issues and that sort of thing. But obviously the difference mainly between the driving is that the human driver is more like a normal what you'd see in a racing driver, so the brake application is hard on and then off. The AI driver tends to trail brake a little bit more going through the corners, so the steering application is applied and the car's still applying the brakes slightly. It's just a feature at the moment of the software.
So the car's inputs can actually be quicker than a human being's at the moment, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very close. In terms of braking, the cars, compared to a normal driver, tend to brake later because they don't have the fear that an average run-of-the-mill driver would have. So they have no fear with going into a corner. They will brake as late as we tell it to, based on the deceleration scale at G factors and the lateral G inputs that we put into the car.
And what about corrections? You've got systems on the car that can tell, presumably, things like slip angle, all of those kind of things. So when things aren't going to plan, how good is the car? How quick is the car at reacting to that? Yeah,
so like you mentioned, the car has slip angle sensors fitted that let us know if we're having understeer or oversteer, how far out the car is. And the AI software will try to correct itself. It's got a designated line that it wants to follow, a GPS guided line or a LiDAR driven line. And if it deviates from this line by over 3 meters, the car will come to a stop. So it's always trying to pull itself back onto that line to keep it going.
While the feedback of human drivers is of course invaluable, the role that simulator-based testing plays in driverless car development is also critical.
Yeah, so basically what we have here is what you could call hardware in the loop simulator. So we have some real ECUs from the actual vehicle and real units, and then the rest of the vehicle is simulated. So we have the speed goat and video ECUs and network switches and routers. They are exactly the same what you have on the vehicle, running exactly the same software what you would have on the vehicle. And then we use rFactor Pro as our simulation environment. And basically, someone is using it at the moment, but you can see here this is the main screen of the vehicle on the racetrack. And we have a few other PCs as well, and mainly because we use them to simulate the sensors. So, for example, what you see on this screen is the view of one of the simulated cameras and 4 LiDARs. So basically, we take all the LiDAR and camera information out of RF Pro, and then we send it to the relevant ECU we use on the vehicle.
So rFactor Pro can actually simulate LiDAR?
We have a custom plugin which was written especially for us, but then since then they've developed some additional products which can do it. Yes.
That's very cool. I'm hoping they can build that into their AI in the future, so cars can see where each other are rather than just basic positional data.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what their plan is in the long run.
I'm asking the wrong person.
But they do have some products now out there which simulate different sensors you can use. And then as far as the vehicle model is concerned, or the actual some of the extra software bits which are not on the 2 ECUs you see here, we use McLaren tool sets. So we calibrate and flash using McLaren tools. RF Pro is really just there for the visualization and to provide these sensor inputs. All the physics and software side are done with the proper tools.
Right, so the physics and software are actually done on the hardware side of things rather than...
So the vehicle dynamics model is not, we are not using RF Pro's internal model. We are using a third-party model, and so RF Pro has they have a feature that you can use a plugin. So we are using our own plugin rather than RF Pro's own physics model.
So guys, that just about wraps things up for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, it would be great if you could hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you can see more content like this in the future. So all that's left to say is goodbye, thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.